All right, so now you're going live, guys, into Facebook.
It's streaming.
It is streaming. You are why? Oh, okay.
There it is.
And you are.
Uh,
You seeing it on Realty Fabric now?
no, that's investment properties.
Okay. We'll see if it's showing up on Realty Fabric now.
Should it be us? We should be able to
It should
see
be
us.
up now. It should be.
No, it hasn't come up on Realty Fabric. Let me just refresh and see when it happens.
Yep, it is there.
Oh, I see it live.
There we go.
Excelente. Okay, so I'll share.
Yeah.
I don't know how to share. There's no share button.
There's no share button? Oh, no, there is right below that. Scroll down.
Oh, I see. There we go. Okay. Got
When you
it.
share, it's going to go live to you, whatever page you want. And same thing with YouTube. It is live on YouTube also now. Perfect. So should we go on broadcast mode? I guess we could. We ready?
Yep.
For the participants?
Yes.
Okay. So now we are webinar is live as well. We are out of the practice mode.
I guess you're letting in the
Participants now.
Sure.
Let me just start clicking. There's 19 people logged, 20, 22. Hold
By
on.
the way, Raj, the chat room is only the three of us. Oh, we need to change that to all the panelists and attendees.
Yep. So are you able to see the participants on the right side?
Yes.
See how the number's going up. Attendees number.
Wow, 50, 51. And it goes up. That's wonderful.
No, I can't see. Oh, there, 53. Yes. And have you got your chat room open to all panelists and attendees?
Yep.
Yes.
Same way. You can stop the video if you want to for now, for a minute or two. It's up to you guys.
Oh, yeah, we do have 1 more minute. So maybe whoever we're sharing to that may not know what this is all about, we can give them a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, we got hellos
There's a
coming in
start
already on
button
the
on
chat
the
room.
video.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We have 1 more minute.
Hey.
There we go. It's 11 o'clock.
Give it a minute or so. So we got about numbers up to 57 now.
Gina.
Hello from Hawaii, from Italy, Romania, DR, Serbia, Scottsdale, Belgium, Boston, Canada, Palm Beach.
Hey, we got local people too. Sharon Gardner come joining in. All right. Nice.
Virginia Beach, Chicago, New Jersey. That's great.
Malaysia.
Hey, Boston. I've got my Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hope my kids don't see that.
Yes.
I've done this because the owner of the Boston Red, not the Red Sox, the Patriots, he sent 300,000 masks, face masks. They sent the Patriots plane to China, came back with it full of face masks, and they've sent 300,000 in a semi-container down to New York for our frontline workers. So I'm wearing Red Sox, even though that's not, I know the football team. That's all I have that represents Boston in my house at this moment in time. So who cares? It's Boston. Thank you, Boston. Thank you, Massachusetts. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so you ready to get started, guys?
Give it maybe 30 seconds. I think realtors are known to log in at the last minute. And then we'll get it going. We are up to about 75 login, and we.
Hi from India. My goodness. Hello, everyone.
Texas.
Incoming India NAR President Tarun Bhatia just logged in, I see.
This is very, very cool.
Easy property from India, Texas, New Jersey, Las Vegas.
Sri Lanka. Wow.
That's great. I love the engagement, how everyone is putting in the chat box where they're from.
Yeah, Santo Domenico. Very nice.
That's great.
Here we are in New York without our face masks. Practicing an abundance of caution. I feel like an NBC newscaster.
So we're getting started soon, guys. We're just
Yeah.
giving a couple more minutes.
Just waiting for more people to come in, actually. We are up to about 81 people logged in now, 82 logged in right now, 84 actually. The number's going up very quickly.
Brooklyn is in the house.
Yeah, finally, somebody local.
Anyone from Queens?
Let's see.
Putnam County. Hey, Clayton.
Yoshi from Long Island.
Ah, Yoshi's
Hey,
here.
Yoshi.
Yoshi's everywhere.
Hey, Turn. Hi, Karen from New Jersey.
That's great.
Morning, Yoshi.
Hey.
So many names I recognize. This is awesome.
This is beautiful.
Tracy from New Jersey.
All right, we'll stop. The moment we hit 100, we'll stop then.
Yeah, so what I would love to do,
Fabulous Camille from Florida.
that's great. Westchester.
Oh, it's
Wow.
Dorothy. You know Dorothy down here, Lucia?
Yes.
Well,
And
Finally,
Florida.
somebody from your neighborhood, Vanessa. All righty.
And Raj and Vanessa, I think before we get started, I would love to send my thoughts and prayers to all of our friends and family or anyone who's been impacted with what's going on right now. I've been following up with everyone from all over the world, and it seems the situation is very similar with a lot of my colleagues and fellow brokers from other countries. And, this is serious. And I appreciate very much the fact that you're doing this, Raj, to keep us together, add value, and take the time of, uncertainty for us to be able to learn and grow. So my thoughts and prayers are with all of your family and your friends and anyone who may be impacted with the coronavirus.
Totally agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get going. We are into about 4 or 5 minutes into the segment. First of all, let me start thanking everybody for taking the time out. I should start with good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. Because if you're in Indonesia, it's good night. If you're in India, it's late evening already. And if you're in Europe, you're almost in the evening. So it's great you're all able to join. I think we have a few hundred people that were registered. And I think looking at the count, we're crossing 90 now on the people that are logged in already from across the country. I'm seeing Canada, I'm seeing USA, I saw Brazil, I saw Mexico, Panama, Portugal, Dominican, Belgium,
Hawaii.
Netherlands. I'm starting to see France popping up, and it's Ukraine. Arthur, I just see Tarun Bhatia from India, and they are incoming president for India, and just saw Thailand and Malaysia actually popping up. So people are from all over the world that are logged in. It's great that we are seeing that kind of a turnout, and as the dedication has been phenomenal. I hope Henrik joins us from Belgium. Last night he screwed up the PM and AM, and he logged in at middle of the night last night, and he was texting me at 4 a.m. saying I'm logged in. I said, you mixed up the AM and PM, so just go back to sleep and wake up, and we'll do it in the evening again in 12 hours. But I didn't see him pop up yet, but I'm sure he will. He joins us from Belgium. Last night he screwed up the PM and AM. Where is that coming from? Is somebody has the audio on that? Please. Was texting me the audio. I'm logged in. I said,
I
mixed up the AM and PM.
Vanessa, because it's highlighting her.
Got it. I got it. The evening again in 12 hours. Yeah. So, those are great logins in here, but I don't want to waste too much time. Let's get it going, and hope we are able to bring you good value today. You can learn something from these two young ladies here, Lucienne Serafovic and Vanessa Saunders. Both of them good friends of mine. I've known them for years, and you've seen their bios on the invitation as well as the reminders you got. I guess, Vanessa, you want to start introducing yourself a little bit, and then Lucienne, you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll start with the questions. Before we end, we will open up to questions and answers. You're all in the chat box. I can see over 100 people in the chat box right now, so you're able to ask questions as we go along. We will open up the questions and answers probably about 30 to 45 minutes into the segment, and then you're open to ask any questions from these two nice young ladies. A quick background on both of them, and the reason I put them together, both of them started from almost scratch, both immigrants coming from different countries, and they started as a local company, went into a global arena, and now they have partnerships around the globe. So I think it was a great example. If you're interested in international business, these are good examples of going into that. Vanessa, you want to start? Young lady, you're on top, so you start.
Certainly. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good night. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Raj, for inviting me. I got into real estate right after 9/11. I used to be on the board of the World Trade Centers Association. My office is on the 79th floor of the North Tower. I luckily was in Amsterdam on the day at the International Broadcasting Convention, and also luckily nobody from my office was killed on that fateful day. However, it did lead me to rethink my life, and in January 2002, I took my New York State real estate license, became a realtor in February 2002, became an associate broker in 2005, and I started my own brokerage in 2012, Global Property Systems. We now have offices in Munich, Manila, and Manhattan. Our head office is in White Plains, just north of Manhattan, and we have partnerships with other brokerages around the world. So we're more of a marketing agency that markets other listings for lots of other brokers around the world with our dear partners, and we sell them from here. We're an agency in New York with residential teams, commercial and corporate. So our corporate team just moved to Boston fairly recently, and they deal mostly out of Munich with our major clients, BMW and their family of manufacturers. I've been in international all my life, as you can tell. I am not from around here, even though I do speak the Queen's English. I'm not actually from Queens. We have over 50 personnel right now around the world, and I just found out this morning my Manila office is offline, so kind of concerned about them at this moment, but hopefully we'll get back to them later. So let's go to Lucienne and see how she got into this business.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. My prayers are with you and your family during this crazy times with the coronavirus, but thank you for your time and attention. Again, my name is Lucienne Serafovic. I'm the CEO and founder of Luxian International Realty. And my company is a virtual real estate company using blockchain technology. But we took a couple of steps further and also became an international real estate company. And the reason why I am international is because before I opened my own company, I've been in real estate for 18 years. The last company I worked for, I was the director of international sales. And while my tenure at that firm, I was the person responsible for bringing these alliance partners so we can eventually become global. So I did that for about a year. But what's interesting is I didn't have any international background other than the fact that I was born and raised in Brazil, and I speak Portuguese and Spanish. But other than that, I really didn't have any global experience whatsoever. And if I did it, and if I was able to build these alliance partnerships and grow my business, I do believe you can do it too. And but 18 years in the business, the reason why I got into real estate was because I came as an immigrant and I wanted to fulfill the American dream. I wanted to come to the United States and really build a life and own a home and have everything that I couldn't have in my home country. So it's been an exciting ride, a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat and tears into building a business and building my career in real estate. So I opened my own company about a year ago. Actually, March 21st, we celebrated 1 year anniversary of my company. And what really sets us apart is the fact that we specialize in high net worth sports entertainment clients. So we've worked with several athletes and a few celebrities, and we're still growing. But thank you, Raj, for putting this together. And I hope I'll be able to add value and teach you guys how I have done it so you can do it too.
So I guess let's jump into the first question is, how did you start in real estate? Vanessa, you want to take it?
Okay, well, I kind of just went over that, but getting into real estate, and most especially international real estate, was a no-brainer for me because I had an international background. And when I came into it, I took my CIPS fairly quickly, Certified International Property Specialist. I'm a member of NAR, National Association of Realtors. I started by doing my Cartis and Sandant certifications with Coldwell Banker. And that quickly got me into the international arena. Since then, I became a member of FIABCI, where I first met Raj, probably about 12 years ago now. And I'm now Secretary General of the Communications Committee for them globally. So with being an international person with an international background in business, it was an easy segue into international real estate for me. It just made sense. Luciane?
Yes, so I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. When I first came here, I couldn't really work anywhere. So I had multiple jobs and I really didn't know what I wanted. And during the process of learning and growing, I had multiple jobs. And two of the jobs I had, I met people that were very successful. And I was always asking, okay, what do you do for a living? And I just happened at the time, this was 19 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And everyone I met who were doing very well, they were in real estate. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license. So I got my real estate license. Before that, I worked for an immigration advocacy services. It was a very fulfilling job, but didn't pay well. But I was helping people become green card holders and U.S. citizens. So there's a form called N400. And when you want to become a U.S. citizen, that's what I did. I would fill out all the paperwork, translate primarily in Portuguese. And I did that just to get the administrative responsibilities on my resume to be able to get a job in real estate. Because I really didn't know that it was so easy to get into real estate in the U.S., especially in New York. I thought you have to really have amazing credentials. So I got my real estate license really because I wanted to do really well. I wanted to become very successful financially. And that's why I got into real estate in 2003. That's when I started.
Okay, Raj?
Wonderful. So let's talk about your journey, and especially in the beginning. I mean, when you get into real estate, obviously it's not easy. A lot of people think, oh my God, from outside, as you said, also everybody that was successful was real estate, and that's how it looks from outside. When you get into the business, now you realize you got to work, you got to farm, and you got to build a pipeline of transactions, and you got to find these customers. What was your journey like in the beginning, especially when you were building your business from scratch and trying to get to a stage where you're suddenly successful? Vanessa?
Yeah, do you want to take that first?
Uh-oh.
Sure.
All right.
So for me, my journey is a little bit different, right? Because I started as an agent for about a year in 2003. And then from being an agent, then I became an assistant manager and grew from assistant manager to senior manager all the way to EVP of big organizations. So for the majority of my career, I actually was managing agents. So I've managed from 60 agents up to thousands of agents as a director, because I was a director of rentals as well. So my experience over the last 17 years was primarily managing people. So going back to selling and dealing with the customers was pretty much starting all over again. So it's not easy. I know that this job is extremely difficult. The way we can do this is, in my opinion, is to have a mindset shift that you're not doing this because you're here to make money. If you do this passionately and you're doing it because you want to help other people and you want to fulfill their goals and you want to help them with their American dream, right? You want to help them find a home. You want to help them invest with the mindset that you're doing this as if it's for you. Anyone can be successful in this business. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time to be able to build the trust. But if you're consistent, because what I say is consistency equals trust. So if you're consistent with your promises, you're consistent with your branding, you're consistent with your communication, then eventually people will look at you and see and believe in you and trust you. And what I always say is, look, I managed people for a long time. I've done thousands of transactions, but through my agents, right? So I was involved with every transaction, but I wasn't in the front lines. So now I'm in the front lines building these relationships. And it's very important to build that trust through marketing, through personal relationships. So it's not an easy business. It's not easy to do it. But I think if you just stick to it and you continue to do it from your heart and you want to help others, anyone can do this.
Great.
So that's basically how we all start. Some of us are luckier than others. We have backgrounds. Mine definitely lent itself to getting into the international arena right from the get-go. Just because we're all immigrants in this room right now. So we know what life is like outside the country. With living in New York, there's so many people from all over the world that come here and buying, selling, renting, that real estate is very full of realtors or agents. So you have to stand out somehow. So the way I started really was by reaching out to all the companies that I had dealt with in the past as clients before I became into real estate. And I was lucky enough that I had come from British Airways, where I started. And over 12 years with them, I'd done an MBA. So I had business administration. And then I came to New York, actually to America and to Minnesota, first of all, back in '92, right after the first Gulf War. And I got divorced and came here as far away as I could from my ex-husband. And I have friends in Minnesota who sponsored me coming in. And I worked for a company that was taken over by another company and another company. And I ended up as an executive vice president of the George P. Johnson Group, which is an international conference and entertainment. So when they say entertainment, it's actually exhibitions, large exhibitions. And I did the telecom. I'm giving my age away here horribly. But we did telecom around the world with huge companies like Lucent, MCI, Global Crossing, ADC, ATT. So all of those were my clients. I'm very, very lucky. And I went to the HR people or the marketing groups and said, hey, I'm now in real estate and I live in Rockland County, New York. And they said, where the hell is that? But I got my name out there very quickly that I was in New York and close to Manhattan and the surrounding areas in the greater metro. And I started calling on HR companies, HR divisions of these large companies and telling them that I was here to help their executives. Quickly found out I needed to be certified in mobility and car descendant. I was with Coldwell Banker at the time. And during that time, I partnered with a friend of mine who was really good working with buyers. And I didn't like buyers so much. I was really good at the marketing aspect of things and getting listings. So the buyers would work with my friend and she would show them the houses and I would work on promoting the company, our little brand, as we called it, which was the Power of Two. And we got listings, lots of listings, and we would sell them to our international clients. So that's really how I started off in this business. And I went from the large business back in 2009. They told me not to utter the F word in the office, which was foreclosure. And I went to a small mom and pop because the other big company just said, you know, we're not going to say that word. And I thought it was very short-sighted. So I went to a mom and pop company who brought my team with me. And we went from there to when they decided to franchise. I said, no, I'm not going to franchise. I'm going to start my own company. And in 2012, I did just that. And now we're a fairly large company around the world, and we're doing pretty well. And as I said, the 3 divisions.
I think that's perfectly said, Vanessa, because a lot of times when a real estate agent starts in the business, their biggest concern is, oh my God, I don't know anybody. Where do I start? And you said it right. You looked at all the past companies you worked for and made a list of those people and went to them and say, hey, I'm in real estate. And I always tell people, make a list of 50 people you know. Hopefully they all like you. And if they like you, know you, trust you, those are the people you start with. And then go around and see what other work you have done, places you've worked in, and connect with everybody you know there. And before you realize, you have a list of 100 or 200 people you can market to and start building your business from day one.
Yes, I would love to add, there's actually a form called Developing Your Sphere of Influence, and it's a very simple form. The form basically breaks down different industry, plumbers, lawyers, accountants, and it's a list of every single industry. Mm-hmm. And if you literally sit down for 30 minutes and you write down the name next to each industry, who you know, a lot of agents, because I've managed thousands of agents over the last 18 years, mm-hmm. and so many agents will come to me and say, Luciani, I don't know enough people. And I would say, were you born in this country? They say, yes. I said, you know a lot more people than you think, because I didn't know anyone when I came here other than my immediate family. So if you sit down and you write down the name of each, if you just Google industries and you just put down next to each industry who you know, I'm guaranteeing you know at least 100 people. Oh, so from 100 people, they know 100 other people. And I also wanted to add, because this is a global seminar, right? So we're talking about building a business globally. I would love to add that I really didn't know anyone internationally. I wasn't lucky to know a lot of people, but it's very simple. So when I got the opportunity to be the director of international sales, the only reason why I qualified for the job was because I was in the business for 17 years. And also because I spoke multiple languages and I came from Brazil, right? But most of us come from somewhere else. And the way I did it literally was looking at each country that I wanted to be affiliated with, researching which company I thought was the best company that matched our needs and what we wanted, the clientele we were looking for. And then I literally cold called the CEO of these companies. So you just have to have the willpower, right? So this is about being powerful. You have to have the willpower to want to pick up the phone and make those contacts. And it's just that simple. And when you call them, you just have to have a plan. What is it that you're going to do for them? Because if you're doing this because it's going to only help you, then you're going in with the wrong mindset. So you have to contact these people that you want to be able to create alliance partnerships with the mindset of what can you possibly do to help them. So it was that simple. Literally, it was cold calling. And then it gets a lot more difficult because then you have to travel. Then you have to go visit them. Then you have to break bread, build those personal relationships. And, it's not inexpensive. It definitely, I think today, thankfully, now we're all getting very used to using Zoom and all these technologies to be able to interact virtually. But when Vanessa and I were doing this, we really had to fly to their countries to build these personal relationships. And it took me about 2 years to do that. It was not something that happened overnight, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier for you guys to do that now.
So what was your first step in going international, and how did you find those clients?
The first step was when I was lucky enough to have that job as the director of international sales for a company called Town Residential. Unfortunately, that company is no longer in business, but that gave me the opportunity to become independent and open my own company. But basically, my responsibility was to build alliance partnerships with the most luxurious brands all over the world. So I just had the research done to find out which companies were the most luxurious companies in each country. And we tried to contact them through email and also calls. You'll be surprised. This information is all available. And so I created that list and I literally cold called each company to build those relationships. It was not always easy. It was a lot of, follow up until I got a hold of them. And over time, eventually, people will just listen to you. And as long as when you get that opportunity to have that conversation, you explain what you're doing for them, what's the value for them to create this alliance partnership with you.
How about you, Vanessa?
Well, outside of my business relationships, I became a member of CIPS, first of all, and that built a huge network around the world, which I'm so grateful for. And then I joined FIABCI, the International Federation of Real Estate Professionals, and that has taken me much further, got me into the commercial real estate arena. I had some really wonderful relationships built, specifically from Asia, when I started my company now 8 years ago, I had some amazing breaks just from going to events with CIPS, going to NAR's Realtor Convention, meeting people there. It's an amazing network. It's almost like family that I have all around the world right now. And these people have become dear friends. So I can go to their countries and stay with them, and they can come here and stay with me, and they do. And it's really been amazing because now I'm getting so many referrals from around the world that I don't have to get on a plane anymore and go out and find that business. So I think life is going to change amazingly from this horrible coronavirus we're going through right now. I think much more business is going to be done like this, face-to-face, but via Zoom. Whereas in the past, it's been so important to build relationships before business was even talked about. And one of the ways I did that was by joining these organizations, and will always be part of them. They've been a great part of my business.
So, so I think you're absolutely right. And I've traveled with Vanessa a lot, actually, in a lot of places we've been together. And it's interesting when you're face to face, the business is done differently. And because of what is happening with the current environment, we are starting to get used to doing face to face things on these video conferencing platforms, whether it's Zoom, whether it's Skype, whether it's, Cisco. There's multiple platforms, and we are using them very effectively and connecting with each other. And I'm seeing that we are connecting with people more than we connected before, actually, because if we had to get on the plane and go somewhere, we saw them maybe once a year. Now we are doing a call with them once a week, actually. So I think it's a great way to change the way we do business and connect with more people, technology, and it's almost free. So I think that makes it a lot easier. So with what I'm hearing from you, the partnerships you've built with all over the world, with different companies, they're referring you business and you're referring them business in most cases. Now, I think, Vanessa, you have some offices outside as well, that you've set up some offices there, and you have your, how does it differ from being a referral person to running your own office in different countries, and the cost associated, and is it very different managing it also?
Yes, our office in Munich was essentially our relocation division, was necessary because we got some very large corporate clients. And so we put a team into their office working with their HR, doing international, not just to the States, it's all over the world. We just sent a group from Singapore to Dubai, for example. And so our relocation company does that. So it's from my point as CEO of the company, is finding out how business is done in each country, which I've had some experience of over the years, thankfully. Our Manila office is essentially our technology teams. We started off with some ISAs and worked with other companies, inside sales agents, for those that don't know. And then we decided the technology of running our websites should be done from there as well. And we have a transaction team over there that helps coordinate with that time zone of Asia and the head office here in New York. So it's about getting on planes and actually going and finding office space. We typically rent office space, and it's working pretty well for us.
Okay.
But it does take a lot of getting to know the relationships in the countries. I'm sorry, somebody walked into my office and distracted me. Manila specifically, or I know Europe, and I was able to start up the company over there quite easily. And now we have partnerships in many countries in Europe where they're broker-to-broker partnerships. And we do referral business. We market their listings, they market our listings, etc. And then we do referral business, which we are too now doing on the blockchain, which is another reason why we'll get into blockchain a little later on. But the Manila office was pretty difficult in the first place to actually get started because I wasn't aware of the business methods that are done there. And I had to bring in a manager that really sorted that out for me.
Got it. So going to Lucienne, and I'm also reading some of the questions that are coming in. I know you guys can see it also, and we will take those questions in a minute or two. But one of the questions is coming on the topic we're talking about. Lucienne, you said you pick up the phone and call these places. What is a call like when you make that call? Is it basically saying, hey, I'm looking to forge an alliance, I'm looking to partner with you? What is if you can give an example of a call?
Yes, absolutely. So very often I actually contacted the CEO of these firms. It did help because I'm putting myself in the shoes of an agent, right? For me, it did help the fact that I had a title of Director of International Sales. And so when I would contact them, it was very rare that someone would pick up the phone, just so you know, realistically. So I would leave a message saying, hi, my name is Luciani Serafovic. I am the Director of International Sales. I'm looking to create an alliance partnership with luxury brands that have similar core values. And I noticed that your company is a perfect match. Please give me a call when you get this message. Most people didn't pick up the phone, so I would email them as a follow-up. And the email was the same thing. And I was basically saying that I'm based out of New York, and how I am looking for an alliance partner in their country, if they can please give me a call. But the email was very well written, very professional, had our signature, my title, and I would actually, at the end of the description of the email, I would give them two options of when I was available to schedule that call. So I wasn't giving them an opportunity to say yes or no. I was giving them a chance to pick either or. And it worked very often, I believe I had 9 alliance partnerships in 10 months. And it was not easy picking up the phone and doing that. But when you're passionate enough and you're thinking that you're doing this because you're also going to add value to them. So the way I was able to add value to them was the fact that I was going to give them exposure in New York because everyone wants a little piece of the Big Apple. And I was also going to do a very high level collaboration. So not only were they going to get PR exposure, we're also going to collaborate and give their listings exposure. And also I was going to give them an exclusivity on giving them referrals for any of my agents who were interested in doing business with their country. Perfect. So they were getting a lot of value by having this alliance partnership.
And Vanessa, your thoughts on that? I mean, giving value is the key to it, because if you're making a call to get business, it's great. I mean, nobody's picking up the phone, but when you're telling them, I'm going to bring value to you, now they're certainly interested because they can gain something as well. So what do you think, Vanessa, your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely about what you can bring to them. It's give and take, essentially. It's what can they give to me and what can I give to them is of ultimate importance. So the way that we can market, a property in, say, Italy, they can't do that from there at this moment in time. But now it's got even more in depth that we can do international escrow via blockchain. And that is helping enormously, because until now, it didn't really matter how well you knew somebody. At the end of the day, you were really taking a gamble if you were going to be putting deposits down on properties that you would ever see that money again. Mm-hmm. You would get a transaction completed and get paid. And it's getting easier using blockchain technology for sure. So that's value, and we're adding it. It's a new layer to the business internationally, and I just recently graduated from MIT in blockchain technology and business innovation and application, which has made me understand exactly how this does. And I've now partnered with, in fact, I'm a board member of a company called Consortia, Real Estate, who is putting this together on the blockchain globally, which is just making business so much easier for me.
And I think in days to come, we're going to do a webinar on that. And that is talking about transparency in the transaction and protecting commissions across the globe. If you do the transaction through blockchain, it's very easy to protect that commission. You don't have to tell somebody to give you the money. The money is filtered through the blockchain platform and it's automatically paid to the,
and it's also
the real estate agents. So I think there's a lot
using fiat currency and cryptocurrency.
Correct. So that's a webinar for the future. In the next couple of weeks, I think we have a webinar that we're planning on that as well. So question is, when you're dealing with international clients, how do you service them? Because a lot of times what happens is it's a totally different ballgame. When you're dealing with a local customer, you're a lot more interaction, a lot more face-to-face. But when you're dealing with an international client, it's a totally different situation. So if you can just highlight, how do you service those clients?
I can go first if you want, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I was typing an answer to someone, sorry.
So being an international person myself, right, we have different cultures. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest difference. And I actually just became CIPS certified. I forgot what the acronym stand for.
Certified International Property Specialist.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not even a real estate agent. Okay,
yeah,
go for it.
I'm becoming a member of FIAPSI, and I wish I knew. You're all very, very lucky because you're getting this extremely valuable information. And I wish I knew about these different certifications and all these things you can do. Because I am based out of New York City, unfortunately, as a REBNY member, no one ever talked about international. So I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be just local because there's such a world out there. There's so much opportunity. And when I first started, I had one computer, this office, it was one computer for all of us. And now it's just amazing how technology, social media, Facebook, all these different technologies and software allows us to stay together and maintain these personal relationships. So instead of going local, I went global, right? So going global was, again, building those relationships. But I want everyone to also understand that you can't just make those phone calls and those emails and stop there. That's the first step. Then there's a lot more that comes from that. You have to constantly follow up. Then you have to go visit them. You have to break bread. A lot of these relationships, we broke bread together and we became friends, So that's because you have to build that very high level of trust, because they need to be able to trust you when it's time to give your clients. But anyway, going back to your question, Raj, there's a lot of resources out there, especially there's a book that I started reading and didn't finish, but what I usually do is I go to each section if there's a client coming from a country that I'm not very familiar with, which is a bow, what is it, kiss, bow, or shake hands. And you can go, so let's say you have someone coming from India, you can go and read their culture and how is it that they conduct business. Mm-hmm. So you can literally understand each person before you start working with them. And it takes only like 10, 15 minutes of understanding, reading about their culture, because we're all very different. The way you hand them the business card is very important to know based on their country. Absolutely. So I always like to point out when I work with someone from China, I make sure I hand them my card facing them and I bow a bit when I'm handing them the card. And also when they give me their card, I make sure I look at it and I acknowledge it and I appreciate the card. And I don't put that card in my back pocket because that would be the biggest offense you can ever do, right? So understanding these things, but because I work with the luxury clientele, when I work with a client, especially the international clients, I have a car service. We treat them like royalties, really. So they feel extraordinary, and it's all about creating remarkable experiences. So you want to take advantage of getting that referral and really doing an amazing job so they can refer you to all of the other clients that are relocating to the US or whatever country you're representing.
Yeah, Vanessa, your thoughts on that? How do you service your international clients? I know you got lost.
How do we service them?
Yes.
We look after them like royalty, as Luciane just said. But we don't just deal with luxury clients. We have clients. I had a lady from Egypt a few years ago, for example, who was in a situation where she worked for Egypt Air. She found us online and she reached out to us. She had $20,000 and she needed to get it out of Egypt because she wanted to invest it in America in some way so that she could keep it safe from her about to be ex-husband. And we were able to buy $20,000 parcel of land for her, which 3 years later we sold for $50,000. And now she's actually got more land and we've sold it for $120,000. So she's invested in America in property, but in land because she didn't have that much money. And she's growing that wealth through America, which is very, very interesting. We have very luxury clients that come in on their private jets, and they're fun, lots of fun. And we have developers from all around the world, either looking at the States. But we do a lot of business country to country, not just inbound or outbound USA as well. So Kiss Bow and Shake Hands was one of the first books I picked up when I was back nearly 40 years ago. That's one of the first editions in British Airways. So yes, it's always been a really good book. I think they still use it in the CIPS designation classes. I know Yoshi and I, and there's several other people on the call, that we did our CIPS together, I think it's 12 years ago now. And we definitely use that book.
Yeah, that's an amazing book. Terry Morrison is the author. She happens to be a very, very dear friend of mine, actually. Doesn't live too far, and I'm going to bring her on one of the calls in the next couple of weeks. And it's an amazing book. If you've not read it, it talks about Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands, as the name goes. It talks about almost every country, what to do and what not to do, and not to insult somebody's culture. So it's like a Bible to me. I look at that book when I travel to see, oh my God, hopefully I'm not going to do something like put the cards in the back pocket if I'm in Japan and insult somebody's face, kind of. But before we start taking questions from all over the world, let's come to the last question, where what are some of the steps you would recommend? Somebody wants to start doing international business. What are their basic 5 or 6 steps you would say they should take and get there? Besides, making those calls, of course. But what are the steps?
Who should go first? Should I go first?
Sorry, you have because I was throwing a phone at someone.
I turned everything off, so no distractions.
My phone. I didn't even know it was in the office.
So, I would say is build a brand. You can't really contact people and say, hey, come to do business with me when your website is not beautiful, when you don't have your signature well done, when you don't have a brand established. So I would take the time to really think about who do you want to be seen as, and develop that brand, and maybe get some help, and build your brand, because you want to be prepared, and you don't want people to go to your website and say, oh, I'm not going to do business with this person because they're just from the 1980s. I do believe you have to establish and build your brand first, know who you want to become. And then I think you need to be very targeted. So, I didn't want to go to every country. I want to go to the countries that do a lot of business with New York and that they have luxury properties. So we were very targeted, and I was very specific on what I wanted. And then I went after it. So I would definitely recommend doing that. The best way to be able to build your brand is to hire somebody who is a marketing specialist. And I would even hire someone who is experienced with PR to really build your voice. I've rebuilt my brand twice. So I had my initial brand, which was 5 years ago, when I really realized that I wanted to own my own company, but I was very far away from it. I started building that a long time ago. And then I rebuilt my brand just before I launched my company. So you need to be able to have your personal brand, because look, my brand is Luxian International Realty, but it's still my face, right? So people are going to do business with you because they like and trust you. So this business, it's a relationship business. It's a personality business. That's why a lot of these celebrities that are doing business in real estate, they're doing really well with these shows, is because people really see them and their face are connected to their brand. Like Corcoran Group is a perfect example. Barbara Corcoran, she built that brand with her face and eventually became very well known. So it's the same thing for you. You really need to hone in and realize who you want to be and take the steps on, investing in yourself and building your brand.
Vanessa, what do you think? And we're opening for questions after that, so keep the questions coming in. We'll start asking the questions that are coming from all the attendees from around the world. So keep the questions coming. Go ahead, Vanessa.
So if you don't come from around here or around where you're from and you don't have relationships, we've got people from all around the world here. If you have relatives in the USA, you can obviously reach out to them in the first place. But I think as a realtor or a sales agent in whatever country and you want to get into international, the very first thing you need to do is to get some really good education behind you. The NAR, National Association of Realtors Certified International Property Specialist, is where I would recommend everybody starts in this industry. Going on from there, you take the FIREC designation, that's the Federation of International Real Estate Education Certificate, with FIABCI. I don't know if that's necessary. It's almost like having a PhD in real estate. But certainly if you're getting into this industry, into the international arena from wherever you are, NAR, CIPS is now available worldwide. That's where I would actually start. Once you've got up and running in the international business, you'll start with a network and you'll build relationships, typically with the countries that you come from or you're familiar with. And you have relatives there or friends and family there. Certainly, that's what I started with, was reaching out to the UK and Europe where I had friends and family. I was also lucky enough to have people in South Africa and Australia where I had worked, and on the west coast of the United States. So I reached out to those people and the companies that I used to deal with and built it from there. Branding definitely is a thing, but if you're an agent for a company, building a brand is an expensive task. Building brands these days is a new catchword, is storytelling. So you tell your story about how you got to be here, what you can offer people. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an end to a story. Put those together and people will listen. I think it used to be getting on a plane and going and meeting people, but during these times, this is definitely working. All of our people from around the world are talking more and more via webinars. Too many at the moment, I think. But it is changing our world. It used to be you had to get on the plane and go and meet people and really get to know people before you could do business. And it's all evolving right now. I think when we come out of this entire crisis, we're going to see a different shift in the industry. And certainly the world is definitely getting smaller. So getting on planes and traveling may not be as necessary as it was in the past, but building relationships using this sort of media will definitely be a part of it. I've seen a couple of questions about relationships and networking, etc. One of the best ways I have now is through these networks. And now we have companies like Consortia using the blockchain to build relationships and do referrals across the nation and worldwide. I see Teresa Grobacher is online. She's the CEO of Consortia. I'm very lucky to be on the board of Consortia, which is why I keep recommending it. But nothing in this for me other than it's changing. The world is changing. Technology is moving faster than ever before. And real estate has always been very slow to adopt and adapt over the years. I mean, I think it took 15 years for realtors to really adopt the internet and use it the way we do now. But that's all changing because technology is changing faster than ever before, and people are realizing that they have to adopt and adapt to get forward, to move forward in the future. And we'll talk about that more in the question time.
Yep. So, I mean, you both mentioned CIPS, and I think CIPS is usually one of the first starts to do when you're looking to go global in the business. It's a good segment. It's a 5-day class if you don't know. most of the countries I'm seeing online here, they have partnerships with NAR USA already. And CIPS, if you do not know, is a NAR designation, which is Certified International Property Specialist. It's a great class. As I said, it's a 5-day class. I happen to be one of the instructors that teaches that. And it's something that, it's a good learning process. But what happens is it brings you into the CIPS network, which is a few thousand real estate agents around the country or world actually. And once you get into that network, referrals automatically start there, because if somebody's looking for somebody to refer in that country, first thing they look at, because I'm a CIPS, I'm going to look at the CIPS list in that country. So that would be the first stop. One of the questions that came in is very interesting, saying, do you participate with local associations? And what is your engagement with the local associations? Personally, I'm very engaged. I'm a global chair. I was a global chair last year of my local association here. So, ladies, how about you guys?
After you, Luciane, you're Rebney in the city, right?
Yeah, so I wish I didn't have to be a part of so many, but in reality, you really have to, just because you need to have the resources available to your clients. So I'm a member of Rebney, CIPS. I'm a member of HGAR, and Long Island MLS. So those are, the primary memberships I have. In terms of international, I have signed alliance partnerships with companies all over the world. My biggest alliance partner is Chesterton's. They're one of the, I believe, third largest luxury real estate company in London. And they have 100 offices, franchise model all over the world. They were a very unique franchise model. It wasn't until recently that you have to be a franchisee in order to become part of their network. Moving forward, it will be that way. But when I became a partner with them, that was not the case. So there's a lot of companies out there that are not franchised, not with the big brands, that are very good locally, that you can create an alliance partnership with. So most recently, I have an alliance partnership with Barcelona, and it's one of the best real estate companies that handle international business in Barcelona. I also have a partnership in Spain. So you really have to decide where you want to target and where do you think will be most beneficial for both of you and that company, to build those relationships.
So, as you're going along, you look for what local organizations that exist in your neighborhood, first of all, how engaged they are internationally. In USA, we have a great organization called ARIA, Asian Real Estate Association of America, which is also engaged globally. I've done a few trade missions, and actually I had taken a trade mission from here to India with over 50 realtors that went with me, and we've done a few trips since that as well. So, look locally what organizations are there that are engaged globally, and make sure you're part of it. But becoming a member is important, but more important to me is getting engaged with them. A lot of times we become a member, attend a seminar, and then we go home. Nothing happens that way. You have to be engaged. You got to participate in the committees. You got to participate in the board. You got to start participating in those organizations. When you participate, you're engaging yourself with the whole different level of client base. You're engaging yourself with people that are doing business every day. And that's when you're going to start seeing the results. So that is, I think, very, very crucial. What else? Let's see, look at some of the questions that are coming in.
A lot. I'm looking at them.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcia. I'm blushing. It's so good to see so many friends online. It really is.
So here's my question. One of the questions is, when you talk to these international clients, do you tell them about tax consequences? Do you tell them about financing options available? Or you refer them to the professionals that are in that field? Because every country's tax consequences are different. Every country's taking the money in and out of there is very, very different. So how do you advise these people?
So can I answer this one?
Yes.
Yeah, you both can answer it. How do you handle it?
A list of subject matter experts. We're talking about FIRPTA taxes. People coming into the States, there's so many things that they need to know. We are not licensed to talk to them about things that we don't know about. So we have all these subject matter experts, from attorneys, immigration attorneys, tax attorneys, and then some countries that are coming here, the their clients, of the brokers that are sending them, they don't want to talk to attorneys. Attorneys are taboo. So we have to get over that and build a relationship, first of all. So building a relationship in the first instance with the broker from wherever they're from, so they can tell their clients that these people know what they're talking about, and they have if they tell you that you need to speak to an attorney about taxes, then that's who you need to speak to. Very, very interesting how people see us very differently. And plus, in New York, we're very different to New Jersey, and very different to, say, San Diego or San Francisco or LA, California, Minnesota. All different states do real estate very differently in this country. New York just happens to be a very litigious state, and so everything is done through attorneys. Transaction coordinators don't really exist in this state, but they do in other states. So it's understanding where your clients are coming from, where they need to be going to. Somebody asked me, I think it was Trisha, do we have relationships around the country? Absolutely, we have relationships around the country. We refer business from New York to California, Minnesota, Arkansas, wherever, all the time, and it's coming in from all those. So if ever you need any help around the country, come to me or come to any of us, and we will be able to send you to someone that's known and trusted in this country, and they will understand how business is done in their state. It's not just the same all across America. It's very different all across America.
And I think that goes for any country, basically. Build relationships in every city and state, because you're not an expert in every city. You're not an expert in every state. You don't know it. So if you build partnerships with locally as well in different cities and states, you're able to refer back and forth. And that's the value you bring to each other. And that's exactly what we do in Global. Another very good question. How do you make sure your international client has good reputation?
I can answer that. So, the internet is a beautiful thing, but there's multiple steps, right? So a lot of research online to see if there are any negative reviews on those international partners. And I always, before I sign partnerships, after doing intense research online to see if there are any negative press or any negative feedback, bad reviews on those brands, I also find 2 or 3 consumers that are in those countries through friends of friends that may know that brand and what is their feel for that brand. Have they seen their stores? Do they know anybody who had an experience with them? Because, definitely you have to be very careful. You don't want to align yourself with a brand that does not represent who you are and is not ethical. So I always, before signing partnerships until now, would visit their offices, meet their team. So that's why it was a little more expensive. And I think it should still be the way when things come down and becomes a little bit better, because you want to see their operation, you want to see their staff, you want to make sure that they are who they are saying they are. So the alliance partners that I have so far, I visit them and I've met their team, so I know who they are. And I also did a lot of that research.
Perfect. And, as we mentioned, local organization, Marsha, my friend, is talking about FIAPSI, and we've talked about FIAPSI. All 3 of us have talked about it because we are all engaged with FIAPSI, sit on the different organization. It's a great organization which has not only partnerships, but we have chapters in almost 60, 70 countries. So, that's again another place to engage when you're referring business back and forth. Even if you're not there, you attend one meeting sometimes and you'll end up connecting with 20 or 30 countries in a single meeting. And you build those relationships. But I think the key after that is staying in touch with them. And that's where I think most of our lack is. We meet people, have a nice drink with them, and after that drink, we fly back to our countries and never talk to each other till we go to the next meeting, maybe hoping to see them. Stay in touch with them when you get back. Say hello to them, Facebook, Messenger, whatever. Stay in communication. I think that is very, very crucial.
Yeah, I have something to add to that. The way I've done it is, with the Alliance Partnership Agreement, I clearly indicate that we have to communicate on a monthly basis, and we have to visit each other on an annual basis. So on a monthly basis, we have a conference call after we had met in person, and that call would discuss what are the happenings in their country, what's happening in my country, and then we decide which properties do we want to promote. So they promote my listings, and I promote their listings through my network and through my website. So, that's a really great, like super simple way to just see each other and communicate on a consistent basis.
So another very interesting question coming in saying, when you're working with a realtor, and especially if you're looking to do international business, do you look for strong experience in the international space? So, Vanessa picks up to do something with, let's say, somebody in India. What do you want to know about that realtor in India saying, does he have experience in dealing with international clients? What do you look for them?
The first place I
Any
would
country,
go,
but I just picked up India being an Indian. I know you're trying to open office in Mumbai, especially because you're trying to open office in Mumbai now. So.
Okay, I would probably pick up the phone and call one of my friends from FIABSI in India first and foremost and see if he's even heard of this person. And if they haven't, then I would go to my FIABSI brochure and look through and see if those people are a member of FIABSI. Or then I would go to CIPS and see if they were designated, have that designation. That would be my work down. If they were in a town in India that I know there is a broker who is a member of one of those organizations, I would go to that broker and say, have you heard of this person? And then I would have that agent go to that broker and I would have him feel them out for me on a local basis. And
so
then
checking the reputation is very, very important. But I think we are starting to wrap up now. We have gone over our time already, and almost everybody's still hanging in there, over 100 people on the line still. So last thoughts before I give in something. So before your last thoughts, actually, let me give you another hint what's coming up next. Next week on Friday, same day, a little bit different time, we are going to touch on China. China is going to be a hot topic next week. We have Jin Shi, who is the president of the largest brokerage in China and Hong Kong, who's going to be one of the panelists with us. And the other person that's going to be with us also is Lily Cheng. She is the president of a major organization in Taiwan. And Spencer Ho, who I see is online right now, is going to be, who's done a lot of business with China, goes in back and forth a lot, would also be on the panel with us. So all three of us are going to talk about doing business, money coming in and out of China, what's changing, what to expect. That's coming next week. There's another one that's coming in next week is a little bit different. Slavisa, who's also online from Belgrade, Serbia. He's put together a seminar on time management, which is on Tuesday. So keep an eye on for those seminars coming in. I'll be posting them. That's on Tuesday around the same time, and Friday is China. But back to you, young ladies. Your last thoughts, last suggestions, last thoughts to everybody who wants to get into this business.
Go ahead, Lucian.
Go ahead first.
Okay, my last thoughts is you're already in the business and you're already international. It's just a question of us all meeting together, holding hands, staying safe with social distancing, but getting to know each other. And once we get to know each other, then we can reach out to you. And when somebody that we don't know comes in, we can reach out to you and say, do you know these people? And we just start growing bigger. The world is getting smaller and we can all do international real estate relatively easily with all the new technology that's been given to us.
Thank you.
And Lucian.
Yes. I actually just added my email to the chat box. And I would like you to consider me a resource. I've spent about 2 years building a lot of relationships. Raj is an amazing resource. Vanessa is an amazing resource. So go ahead. If you have questions and you need a referral, you want to understand a little bit more, feel free to just go ahead and shoot me an email and consider me a resource to you to help you with any of your questions. I would just say, just start small. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. Just start with one at a time. And if I did it, you can do it too. I wish you all the very, very best and get a lot of referrals internationally and do really well. And God bless you all. Stay safe, be healthy, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys. By the way, this webinar was also streamed live into YouTube and Facebook. So if you miss something, you want to refer back to it, you can just go to YouTube and search for Realty Fabric. When you search for it, those channels will come up on YouTube as well as Facebook, and you'll find both those segments there. If really you need a copy of this, email me from the invite you got, and I'll be glad to send you a live link that is going to be available for at least another 7 days. So you can listen to the whole thing again. Thank you for joining, and hope to see you next week on the coming seminars. We'll be doing one every week, and we'll be touching on a different country every week. Hopefully, we'll get you accomplished with the entire world by the time this Corona stuff goes away.
Thank you, everyone. God bless
Good
you
luck.
all.
Do a lot of business
Thanks,
and
Raj.
be safe. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Bye-bye.